So IO Interactive just revealed a glimpse of the first James Bond game in nearly a decade, and I don't think people realize or truly appreciate just how monumental this moment is for the Bond franchise as a whole. Because it's going to change absolutely everything. IO Interactive isn't just simply making a new James Bond game, which in and of itself is already something to be really excited about, because what they showed, well, it looks absolutely phenomenal. But what people don't seem to realize is that they are doing something that no other Bond game has ever really attempted. IO Interactive is actively reinvigorating, reinventing, and reintroducing Bond for a whole new generation of fans. But specifically also a whole new target audience of fans, gamers. You see, Bond has almost exclusively been a movie property. Ever since Sean Connery first appeared as James Bond back in 1962, the words
Bond. James Bond
has become synonymous with the history of film itself. But when it comes to gaming, this has never really been the franchise's strong suit. Despite a few good games here and there, especially in the Pierce Brosnan era, James Bond's impact in gaming has historically been less prominent than in film, for several reasons. While the franchise's films have set high standards for storytelling, production quality, visual spectacle and practical effects, early Bond video games often faced technological limitations and gameplay that did not really fully capture the character's charm, especially in the Daniel Craig era of Bond. Besides perhaps for 007 Bloodstone, they almost exclusively relegated Bond's appearance in gaming to being nothing more than a generic first-person shooter with a James Bond coat of paint. All this to say that Bond in gaming has always been a little bit of an afterthought for the franchise, which is a shame because James Bond as a property really leans itself to working well in games. The gadgets, the guns, the cars, the locations, it's all perfect for a great video game. Yet despite that, we've only really had a handful of truly great James Bond video games. What that essentially means is that the target audience for a new Bond game has historically always just been fans of the films or books that just so happen to be gamers as well. Never actually just gamers first. Because if a gamer wanted to play a great first-person shooter, they'd play Call of Duty. If they wanted to play a great stealth game, they'd play Splinter Cell. If they wanted to play a great spy game, well, they'd play Hitman. No gamer in their own right would actually choose to play a Bond game if they weren't already a fan, because these Bond games often had weaker implementations of gameplay systems done better in other games. Now, I'm not saying that the Bond franchise hasn't at least tried to make Bond more relevant in gaming, but they have certainly never cracked the code, or really understood how to best utilize the things that make Bond great in a gaming context. What that in essence means is that any new Bond game has always either been a movie tie-in with a background of rushed development behind it like Quantum of Solace, or a standalone adventure like 007 Nightfire that was never really meant to overshadow the popularity of the film franchise and never given enough time or budget to even try. It's always felt like Eon Productions never truly believed that Bond ever really needed gaming, but that gaming was just another avenue to make extra money from fans of the films. But times have changed and gaming, well, it's booming. In 2024 alone, the global video game market reached $184 billion. Now contrast that to the global film box office, which was valued at $33 billion, and the point I'm making becomes clear. Gaming is the biggest entertainment industry in the world right now, and officially so big that not even James Bond can longer ignore it. The reason this context is so important is because this is all about to change with IO Interactive's new Bond game, 007 First Light. They are taking the words of Ian Fleming and bringing them to life in a way that hasn't really been done in gaming before. Sure, we've had Bond games in the past that have been decent, but none have really ever tried what IO Interactive is doing. They are trying to make Bond relevant to gamers and announce video game Bond to the world almost exactly how they would announce a brand new movie Bond to the world. In other words, for the first time in Bond's history, they are taking this very seriously. Since the announcement that IO Interactive, makers of arguably the best non-James Bond spy game ever made, aka Hitman, were getting a chance to make a Bond game, fans all around the globe collectively said, hell yeah. It's a match made in heaven, and the reveal of First Light all but confirmed everything we as fans were hoping for. James Bond is not only getting his own game, but he's getting the full Monty in terms of marketing, development time, and almost all the iconic brands like Aston Martin and Omega are being attached to the title. It means that James Bond, for all intents and purposes, has officially entered the gaming chat, and I couldn't be happier. For the longest time as a James Bond fan, my biggest hope was getting a genuinely good Bond game. Not a Bond game that just had a few good moments, or a Bond game that felt more like a watered-down Call of Duty than a Fleming novel, but a Bond game that felt like it was made with passion, confidence, and genuine love for the character and the words written by Ian Fleming. Now, I was excited when they announced IO Interactive were working on a Bond game, because for those that don't know, Hitman World of Assassination is arguably my favorite video game of all time. But when I watched the reveal trailer and saw a young James Bond walk out towards the sun, revealing his face with a scar on his right cheek and piercing blue eyes, I knew that all my wildest James Bond gaming dreams have officially come true. In the same way that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle came and reintroduced modern audiences to indie and totally nailed the feeling of adventure with smart storytelling and fantastic gameplay that aligned with who the character actually is and represents, I feel James Bond has a chance to really blow people away with a spy game that could only ever be made by the same people that made Hitman. I know this might sound cheesy, but I truly love the James Bond franchise. I've watched every single film since I was a kid and read as much as any fan ever could. I have film posters in my house and probably spend way too much time on the James Bond subreddit. And as a gamer, seeing James Bond get the respect he deserves in a gaming context is not only refreshing, but also really appreciated. From the fantastic voice acting, the brilliant score, I lost my mind when On Her Majesty's main theme got used in the car chase. The subtle push in and turn around of Bond mimicking the opening gun barrel of the classic films, the use of gadgets in gameplay and sexual innuendos in conversations, the Easter eggs littered throughout the trailer that only true Bond fans would ever pick up on, like the outfit that Bond wears in this shot, subtly mimicking the outfit he wears in Dr. No, which also just so happens to be the first appearance of Bond in film, the first time they truly took it seriously and attempted to make an impact in that genre, almost as if this game represents the same exact thing, the first time that Bond is truly attempting to make an impact with video games. It's Bond like we've never seen him before in gaming, because it's actually James Bond. It's not some dumbed down version of Bond, it's a Bond that takes itself seriously. A Bond that, if the rumors are true, wants to be a trilogy and grow with its audience. A Bond that doesn't want to be relegated to just video game tie-in. It's a standalone experience that respects Bond's cinematic heritage and brings his world to life through interactive storytelling. For the first time in perhaps ever, gamers and Bond fans alike can immerse themselves in a world where Bond is just as exciting and relevant in gaming as he has been on the big screen. And I, for one, can't wait. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like, as that helps me out a ton, and subscribe if you'd enjoy a channel that, simply put, investigates games. And I'll see you in the next one.